Today we met with Zakk Mabrey, a freelance Ultimate Frisbee tournament director and coach. Zakk has been coaching and hosting Ultimate events for years. We discuss how he got started, what makes for a great coach, and what he's doing next. Hope you enjoy. All right, guys, so we're totally live today. We have Zakk Mabrey. He's a freelance host for tournaments, events, typically in the Ultimate community. Been doing it for a long, long time. A good friend of us here at Lucid, and we've known each other for a couple, maybe over a year now, I think, probably, right, Zakk? Or
we're probably at like 2 or 3 years by now.
Yeah. I think since I even started this, I think we've known each other. So we're happy to have you. And to get started, just give us a little background to yourself and what you're working on right now.
Yeah. Personally, I'm from Indianapolis. If you're familiar with the Indianapolis area, I went to North Central High School. It's a pretty big high school here. And then I went to Indiana Wesleyan University, which is in Marion, Indiana. Studied sports management, 4-year bachelor degree. Came back home to Indianapolis, worked with a couple of sports complexes in the city. But really, my passion's in Ultimate Frisbee and figuring out ways that we can continue to grow the sport, host tournaments, and eventually make that a full-time job for me. But
Oh yeah,
not quite there yet as a sport. So
that's awesome. So how did you get started in Ultimate? What sparked that?
yeah, kind of like the typical story for Ultimate players. Church youth group, probably junior year of high school, we started playing it, and I was like, okay, this is kind of fun. And then they had a team at their high school. I didn't have a team at North Central, so I drove like 20 minutes across the city to play pickup at their high school. And then senior year of high school came, and I was like, all right, let's start one here. And I started a little pickup group at North Central. Went to Indiana Wesleyan, and that's where like it really just became something I was really, really passionate about. We were a pretty good team there. Went to D3 college championships my junior year of college at Indiana Wesleyan. So top 25 team in the country for most of my time there. And really it's all about the community that comes with the sport.
Oh yeah.
Sports in general are really about community and the type of community that you're built around, and having that thing in common with 25 teammates,
Yeah.
really goes a long way in like finding a way to fit in. But I fell in love with it there. Um, since then, I've returned to Indiana Wesleyan. I graduated in 2017. I returned to start coaching the college team there. I coach YCC, which in Ultimate, it's like the Indiana High School All-Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so I coach our YCC team, and I also coach at Brebeuf Jesuit High School, which is in Indianapolis. So pretty involved in the community, pretty involved with what I want to do. But it was the community of the sport that really drew me in.
That's awesome. Yeah, and when we, as you know, we started with a lot of the Ultimate community. One of the co-founders was heavily involved with it. We love the sport. I think you're right. I think Ultimate has a different, very tight-knit community style around it than other sports. So
Yeah, it's such a unique sport in that so many people aren't playing for the first time until they reach college. And so not only are you like 25 people on a club sport team that has to like fundraise to go to your own tournaments, uh, tournament style plays a lot into it because we're gone for a weekend and I have to spend 48 hours with all of my teammates, and
yeah,
that kind of builds relationships in a different way. But we're also all going through this learning process as young adults together of learning how to move and play this sport correctly, and what all goes into the sport. And I that's something that's unique because when do you learn to throw a baseball? When you're like 5 years old, and you're out here learning how to throw a frisbee at 18, 19, 20. So it's kind of just a different learning cycle, and that's pretty cool to me.
yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. I think it really did start as something that was you pick it up in college, but I think it's actually evolving a little bit now too, to where they're starting to have really high. A lot of people starting to play it even in middle, high school. So I think it's really growing into the youth more and more, as obviously you're seeing. So that's been cool.
Yeah, and it all depends on where you're at too. Indiana is not the biggest ultimate scene. We do have one program here, Center Grove High School, that has a pretty robust team. I mean, they have like 50 or 60 people participating. They have a middle school team, like a middle school organization, and all of that to go with it. And if you look at like a community like Seattle, everyone in Seattle plays Ultimate, or
Yep.
just about everyone in Boston plays Ultimate. Those are like, it just depends on where you're at in the country, you know. So some places are hotbeds, some places are less so.
Yeah. So you mentioned a big start was coaching. So go in depth a little more. How did that experience? How did you get in there? What was that first experience like? And then what I'd like to hear too is what was the biggest learning as a coach that you had to go through the first year or so when you started?
Yeah. Uh, so I was just really passionate about Indiana Wesleyan. That school, that ultimate team gave a lot to me. The college years are such formative years of your life. And in my time there, I was a president of the club. I was heavily involved in the club for all 4 years. I think I was president for 3 years. I was a captain for a year. Um, we did a lot of stuff together, and it was just so formative to me and gave so much to me as a person, and was so much of what I am now. And so after graduating, I wanted to give back in some way and see if I could make that experience true for the next group of people that were in there. Um, so it kind of just started off like, initially I just kind of wanted to go back and get to spend time with my friends who were 1 year younger than me.
Yep.
Uh, and then and then I was like, man, this is really cool. And then I ended up developing relationships with the kids that came in as freshmen, and now it's their senior year of college. And well, it's going to be their senior year of college, 2020, 2021. And
Yep.
it's like I've spent 3 years with them, 4 years with them, and maybe I'm a little bit burnt out, but I've got to finish this journey that I started. So it's kind of like, just finishing off the story of what we've started. Um, but as far as the journey into coaching and the transition into coaching, it was kind of an interesting experience. Uh, it made me realize what points I started off as a player. It's really led to some like introspective stuff in that way, um, because I'm teaching something, and to me, I'm teaching like a really basic concept, but these are kids that are learning it for the first time who have never played the sport before, and so I've learned a lot of patience. I've learned a lot about the small details that go into the sport, the small details that go into what goes through my process and my mental process as I'm playing, and that's kind of gone a long way in what I've done as a coach. I know year one I wasn't patient. I was just very like, come on guys, we should be getting this. It's really easy, um, and now I would say that I'm a lot better. Um,
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that. I think that's something that, especially experience. I've heard it. I've heard it. Someone's call it. You're in so deep in the forest, you can't see over the trees. You're so experienced that it's tough to imagine back when you didn't know all these different nuanced pieces of it. So that's cool. I like that. So I got a question about leadership because a lot of people we work with, all leaders, different types. It sounds like you've been a leader all throughout college. You've been a leader after with coaching, and now you're even hosting these events and tournaments. What's something in that leadership journey that you think was a tough way to learn, or something that was you did maybe not well in the beginning, and you're now
uh,
growing and figuring some stuff out on that front?
yeah, so I was actually kind of in an interesting position. My first year at Indiana Wesleyan was the first year that we were a sanctioned team. So the first year that we were competing for a spot at nationals, going through sectionals and regionals and all of that stuff that takes you from like this pickup team to a legitimate organization. And so we were all kind of learning along the way as we went. And I know in the first years we really struggled with communication. Um, not really communication with each other. I think that we were fine on that because most of us were roommates or hanging out in each other's rooms all the time. But communication with like leadership at the school. So the faculty and staff that you have to go through for all of your processes to say this is the tournament that we're going through. Uh, I never really valued communication in that way, and I was always the type of person that was like, okay, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, and it's cool, and I wasn't a give and take type of person in that way. But you go through 2 or 3 years of interacting with these adults, and they kind of like shape shape what you're doing. You get an understanding of what their processes are. And so now I kind of learned these are their processes. This is how I can ease the burden on them. And now they like me, and now they want our organization to thrive, and now they want to go out of their way to help me out. And I think that that was kind of a big step that we took throughout the way in terms of the team and organization. And then in terms of leadership with events, probably professionalism is it, and those two things are probably related. But as we've grown as a tournament throughout the years, and grown the tournaments that I've hosted throughout the years, professionalism has taken us so far. Um, showing up for meetings not wearing sweatpants, uh, just like looking professional, looking like
Yeah,
I
looking
care.
like you're the one in charge, right?
Yeah, yeah, I look like I'm the one in charge. I look like I care about what I'm doing, and before I did care, I just you see somebody like rocking sweatpants in a meeting, and you're like, all right, why didn't they even care to like get dressed for me today? Um, so like those kinds of things, professionalism has gone so far in like what kind of events I can host and building the events into better events.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like that. So you started out in the coaching. You did some stuff around there, and you're still active there.
Yep.
Now, in terms of the events, when did you start hosting these events? What did those look like in the beginning, and what was the progression when you started doing
Yeah.
that side of the business?
So our uh, our organization at Indiana Wesleyan, it kind of started, and our captain Travis Carpenter helped me start this event. Well, he was the main leader the first year, and then I kind of grew it after that. But our biggest tournament is D3 Midwestern Invite. It's a pretty big ultimate frisbee tournament in the spring. We bring together D3 teams who don't have a lot of representation, and I don't have a lot of opportunities to go and play other D3 teams. Uh, so the goal was to set up a tournament to bring all these D3 teams together before nationals. Um, and Ultimate's a self-funded club sport, so
Yep.
we are doing it to set up as a fundraiser the first year. And we get 10 teams to come, and it's in Marion, Indiana. So it's not very big. Um, and so 2014 was the first year we hosted it, 10 teams. 2015, we grow it a little bit more, and we have 16 teams. So it's just a slow growth between years 1 and 2. And honestly, if I was a team that had come to the first 2 years, I wouldn't have came back. It snowed so bad. It was like 10 inches of snow the second day in year 2. It
Did
was
you guys still
awful.
play?
Yeah, we still played. I think four out of the 16 teams wanted to stick around and play on Sunday, and it was awful. And I honestly I wouldn't have wanted to come back, but teams did. They understand that things happen, so that was kind of
Yeah.
cool. And we keep growing. So 2016 we hit 19 teams. We're still in Marion, Indiana, but we're still growing. Uh, 2017 was kind of a big year for us. We did drop down from 19 teams to 16 teams, but we changed locations. We left Marion, Indiana, and we went to Fair Oaks Farms, which is about 2 hours away from our campus. So it's a little bit inconvenient for us in that way, but it increases the number of fields that we have and the quality of fields that we have. So we bring in all these teams. We bring in 16 teams, and they have a great time at the new field site. It's just better fields. It's a better field site. There's a restaurant on campus. Um, there are like on the campus of the field site, so you don't have to leave. It's even better now. They just finished building a hotel, so like you can have an all-inclusive weekend with a restaurant, a hotel, and the fields, and not have to leave at all during the
That's
weekend.
awesome.
Yeah. So 2017, we're at 16 teams, and then I graduate, and now I'm not having to balance school and running a tournament. So we hit a huge growth after that. We grow from 16 teams in 2017 to 34 in 2018, then
Wow.
36 in 2019, and then this year we were set to have 48 before we had to cancel.
Oh
So
man. Yeah.
yeah,
That's actually a good segue into the inevitable discussion about the COVID-19 stuff. How is that? What's been the effect on? What have you seen with your teams, the event space? How has this all played out for you guys?
yeah, it's really hard. As an event host, I'm really reliant upon the money that I make hosting events. That's kind of the most brutally honest part that I can say. So
Right.
it's hard
Yep.
for me as a host to say, "Hey, I want to cancel this event." Thankfully, USA Ultimate stepped in and they decided to cancel all events through May 15th. So I didn't have to make that decision. So it kind of took that burden off of my back. So I was really grateful for their leadership on that.
Hmm.
Um, as far as going forward, I mean, that means that we canceled all of our high school practices. So we played a high school indoor season in December and January, or January and February. And it was like 8 weeks, and you're playing for an hour a week. And it's all the kids' first time playing. So it's just teaching the whole time. And then we
Hmm.
had 3 outdoor practices, and that's all that we got for our season. And that really sucks, and that's a huge
Yeah.
setback. For the college season at Indiana Wesleyan, we didn't get to play a single tournament this spring. Um, so everything's just kind of on hold. And honestly, I feel the worst for the seniors at Brebeuf High School
Yep.
because they didn't get to have their senior year. They didn't get to have their stand up moments. And, maybe some of them don't want to play Ultimate in college because it's a huge commitment and they want to focus on their academics. So they missed out on this opportunity to play a sport, and have that experience of being a senior, the recognition of being a senior, the awards, the banquets, all the stuff that comes at the end of the year. And on top of that, Brebeuf was probably the favorite to win a high school state championship this year. So those kids miss out on a lot of opportunities, and it does feel really bad. I feel really bad for them, not getting to do those opportunities. So as a leader in the community, I think the question going forward is like, how do we figure out ways to recognize those kids who missed their season? How do we continue to support those kids who missed their season, um, and show them that we still care, um, that it's not just about what you do on the field, that you're a person beyond the sport. So
Yeah.
um, that's kind of the route that we're going, and it's all a learning process.
Yeah, man, that is hard. I think you're right. The high school seniors, college seniors for that matter, but I think high school is one of those ones. It's such a pivotal time, especially in the sporting. The sporting piece of it is, I think, adds the next level to it because it's already terrible they can't experience that whole end of senior year. That
Yeah,
all it's like it's kind of like the passing for all of us. That's what we all go through, and it's such a interesting time, and everyone's going their separate ways. Yeah, that's tough, man. That's a hard one. And I feel for you
yeah,
guys on the tournament side. I know, we work with all kinds of people in the tournament space, and I'm feeling for them because it's such a, there's so much heart and soul put into these events, and then it's taken out from under you. And man, it's just devastating. So I understand completely. And I know hopefully it's going to pass soon. And I guess that's all we can do is hope and pray that that happens sooner than
yeah,
later. Right.
yeah, for sure. As a tournament host, though, I mean, I'm kind of lucky. I've gotten a really good relationship with the field site over the past 3 or 4 years that we've been there. I host fall events there too. So like we've built this really great relationship, and so I didn't lose any money in field deposits or anything like
Oh,
that.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, but still I'm putting forward like 40 hours a week of effort into building this tournament, into recruiting teams and getting all their money, and to have it like fall apart in a matter of days and then have to go through the process of refunding all the teams. That was definitely pretty tough. But
Hmm.
um, I had bought merchandise boxes, and so I sell merchandise at the tournaments to go with it. And the outreach from the community on that merchandise box, I started selling stuff online and just going over to the post office and shipping it. And the outreach on that has been awesome. I've sold from Indianapolis. I've sold jerseys to people in Hawaii, Seattle, Boston, Florida, Missouri. I've sold them all over the country. So
That's
it's kind
awesome.
of cool the way that the ultimate community like helps out and builds itself up. It definitely took it from like being a financial loss to like maybe I broke even, which is really awesome given the circumstances.
Yeah.
Um, so I can't thank the community enough for that. I think that was awesome, um, and it just kind of like rejuvenated me. Like it made me know that people enjoy what I'm doing. People enjoy the merchandise that we're putting out. They enjoy all the events that we host, and like that was their way of thanking me. And so now I know when I come back, okay, people do really appreciate this. They're not just coming to the tournament; they're coming to the tournament and having a great time. And I think that that's gonna give me the fuel to go and be a better event host going forward.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. And I can attest to that too. Just working with you, you do a really good job at building relationships with people on a deep level.
yeah,
I think you just do a good job with that, And I've seen you guys grow from. We started working together on some small, tiny events where you're like, I don't know if we're gonna do anything, but we'll try this and that. And
yeah,
then a couple we had, all kinds of stuff going on, and then this one we were so excited about. So it's cool to see that growth. And same with us. We've been going down that kind of path and learning stuff. But
yeah,
yeah, I think you're doing a great job, man. I think I love following it. I love the ultimate community too.
yeah,
So it's one of those things that's I don't think a lot of people don't know if you're not in the ultimate community, they don't know how deep these roots are that people have and the
yeah,
relationships that are in there. I truly think that it's different than anything else. So
yeah.
to close out for us, what's the future look like for you? What's the next after this whole crisis is done, and the next 5 years? What does that look like for you?
Man, I hope that the sport of ultimate can continue to grow. I think that that's it. Like I said at the beginning, I want ultimate to be a full-time job for me. I'm just so passionate about the community, so passionate about the events that I host and all of that. And I'm still, I would say with what I'm doing, I'm still a little bit off. I still definitely need a part-time job to be able to make it.
Yep.
And I know that our tournaments, our events could be so much better if Ultimate takes that next step as a sport. And I don't know how we get there. Figuring out ways to get more youth involved, I think, is kind of the way to go. Growing it at the lowest level, and you get kids involved, and kids have friends, and kids get their
Yep.
friends involved,
Yep.
and then those kids go on to play in college, and those college kids come to my tournaments. I think that that's the way to go.
I
Um,
agreed. Yep.
yeah, and uh, we've I've done a lot of work in the college event space, for the most part. I host fall college tournaments and I host the big spring college tournament. But as far as the high school space goes, I don't really do much. I help the Indiana Ultimate Foundation run a tournament uh, called Indy Invite, and it's a pretty successful tournament. But that's mainly volunteer work. And then, so I guess that my goals for the next 5 years is to get into uh, developing the youth scene a little bit more, figuring out ways that we can host clinics, figuring out ways that we can get youth players involved. I'm involved with Indianapolis Red, which is our women's professional ultimate team,
Mm-hmm.
and we were slated to do some cool stuff this year. A couple of youth clinics and things like that would have gotten a lot of people involved and at least gotten them exposed to the sport. So that kind of is a shame that that's not able to happen. But going forward, as long as we can get people to buy in to promoting youth clinics and youth events, I think that that's going to do a lot for us. Um, that's probably the biggest direction that I want to go.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. I think that's a purposeful way to approach it too. Start with the youth, build them into the college athletes that you're already working with. So
Yeah.
that's great, man. Well, I guess any final stuff you want to say or anything else to add here? Or?
If you're a college kid that is interested in playing Ultimate, or a high school kid that's interested in playing Ultimate, you could feel free to contact me. I'm on Twitter. You can catch me on an email. Uh, can we figure out a way to put my email in the description or
Yeah,
something?
we'll get you.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and feel free to contact me. More than anything, I want to be a resource for people, for tournament directors, for high school kids that want to play Ultimate. I want to be a resource that helps you grow as a player, as a coach, as a tournament director, whatever it is that you're looking to do in the space. So I just want to let people know that I'm available to be reached out to.
Awesome, awesome. Cool. So what we'll do is we'll link you up some contact information for you, Zakk, in the description. Again, thanks for joining. Thanks for working with us. You're a good guy. We're pulling for you guys. Hope you get through all this craziness that's out there. We'll come out ahead. stay safe, and we'll be in touch here soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. You've been great, man.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Thanks. You too.